Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I'm Inaba Fitriani. I'm as moderate in 7 group, and the member from 7 group is Anissa Sasaga Ermaya, Gigin Kinanjar Inaba Fitriani, and Self Indriani. We will presentation on the title Corpus Approaches to Discourse Analysis. We hope you are in good condition. Always keep your spirit and keep your smiles. Please listen to our video. Thanks a lot. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I'm Anissa Salsabila and I will explain about the first material. What is a corpus? The first one is it is a collection of spoken or written authentic text that is representative of a particular area of language use by virtue of its size and composition. So, a corpus-based approach helps us to provide quantitative evidence of the existence of their causes by enabling researchers to identify repetitive linguistic patterns of language use and to uncover hidden meanings in lexical items. For example, by examining collocation for language research, we can call it a corpus. And corpus is representative samples of a particular type of naturally occurring language, so they can be used as a standard reference with which claims about language that can be measured. And any collection of more than one text can be called a corpus. And the second one is it is usually computer readable and able to be accessed with tools such as concordances, which are able to find and sort out language patterns. So a corpus is a collection of texts, as I explained before, and written or spoken, and it is usually stored in a computer database. So it is usually designed for the purpose of the analysis, and the texts have been selected to provide a sample of specific text type or genre or a broad and balanced sample of spoken and or written discourse. And the second material is about kinds of corpora. There are 6 kinds of corpora. Consists of the first one is genera corpora, and it is also known as references corpus, and it aims to represent language in its broadest sense and to serve as a widely available research for baseline or comparative studies of general linguistic features based on Repen and Simpson 24. And the second one is specialized corpora. It is required when the research question relates to the use of spoken or written discourse in particular kinds of texts or in particular situations. The third one is the Michigan Corpus Academic Spoken English. It is a specialized corpus which is designed with a particular research project in mind, which has data from a wide range of spoken academic genres as well as information on speaker attributes and characteristics of the speech events contained in the data. And the findings from these projects have been integrated into training courses for international teaching assistants and for the teaching of oral presentations. And this data has also been used in the development of English language tests. And the fourth is British Academic Spoken English Corpus. It was developed at the University of Warwick and the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. So there is one study based on the British corpus. Look at the relationship between lexical density and speed in academic lectures. And the study drew on data from 30 undergraduate lectures and found there was a range of speeds in the spoken discourse of the people delivering academic lectures. And the fifth, British Academic Written English Corpus. So it is specialized corpora also be based on written discourse according to NESI 2011, and it is developed at the University of Warwick, the University of Reading, and Oxford Brookes University in the United Kingdom. And this corpus examines students' written assignment at different levels of study and in a range of disciplines with the goal of providing a database for use by researchers and teachers to enable them to identify and describe academic writing requirements in British university settings. And the last one, TOEFL Spoken and Written Academic Language Corpus. So it is a specialist corpus that may include both spoken and written discourse, and it aims to provide a comprehensive linguistic description of spoken and written registers in US universities. Although not, in this case, example of student writing, and yeah, that's all. And we can move to the design and construction of corpora. There are a number of established corpora that can be used for doing corpus-based discourse studies. The first one is the use of personal pronouns such as I, me, we, and us. Highland 2002, I mean. So this study is an example of a corpus that was designed to answer the question about the use of discourse in a particular genre in a particular setting. The specific aim of this study was to examine the extent to which student writers use self-mention in their texts to strengthen their arguments and gain personal recognition for their claims in their written discourse as expert writers do. And the second one is the use of I and we in published academic writing textbook, Harvard 2005. So, Harvard also compiled his own corpus for his study. Harvard selected research articles from electronic versions of journal as well as manually scanned articles and converted them to text format. And his analysis of his data was both quantitative and qualitative. And he then compare his findings with explanation of the use of I and we in published academic writing textbook. So that's all from me. Thank you, and the next material will be delivered by Gigin.
So the next material is about issue to consider in constructing a corpus. There are 4 issues in constructing a corpus. First is authenticity, representativeness, and validity of the corpus. Authenticity, representativeness, and validity are also issues in corpus construction. Additionally, a decision must be made regarding whether the corpus should present a snapshot of language used at a specific time, a static or a sample corpus, or demonstrate language use change over time, a dynamic or a monitor corpus. It is according to Simpson in 2002. One important aspect of corpus creation is deciding what types of text to include. The decision may be based on the intended purpose of the corpus, as well as what texts are available. Another factor to consider is whether the corpus will be updated regularly to maintain its representativeness, or if it will serve as a static example of language used at a specific time. Second is size of the text in the corpus. The size of the text included in a corpus is another important consideration. Some corpora aim to have an even sample size of individual texts, but this decision may vary depending on the purpose of the corpus. For example, if the corpus is intended to represent a particular genre and instances of that genre are typically either long or short, the size of the text included in the corpus should reflect this. In other words, if the genre being studied tends to have longer text, the corpus should include longer text as well. And the same applies if the genre typically shorter text. And the third is sampling and representativeness of the corpus. Sampling is a crucial aspect that must be carefully considered in the corpus. The primary concern is defining the to represent. Biber notes that any selection of text is essentially a sample, but whether or not the sample is representative depends on the extent to which it is selected from the range of text type within the target. In other words, to assess the representativeness of a corpus, it is necessary to define the population it is intended to represent and technique used to select the sample from that population. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next material is the long main spoken and written English corpus. The long main spoken and written English, or LSWE corpus, is an important example of a corpus study. The long main spoken and written English was used as the basis for the long main grammar of spoken and written English. The LSWE corpus is made up of 40 million words, representing four major discourse types: conversation, fiction, news, and academic prose, with two additional categories: non-conversational speech and general written non-fiction prose. The LSWE corpus aims to provide a representative sampling of text across the discourse type it contains. Next slide, please. And the next material is discourse characteristic of conversational English. There are 6 discourse characteristics in conversational English. First is non-clausal unit in conversational discourse. The long main grammar identified a significant aspect of conversational discourse, which is the frequent use of non-clausal units, utterance that lack a clear subject or verb. Second is personal pronoun and ellipsis in conversation. Personal pronoun and ellipsis are commonly used in conversational discourse due to the shared context in which conversation takes place. Third is situational ellipsis in conversation. In conversation, speakers often use situational ellipsis where they leave out words that they are not essential and can be inferred from which are predictable and do not need. The fourth is non-clausal unit as elliptic replies in conversation. 5 is repetition in conversation. You can also use repetition much more discourse. This might be done, for example, to give added emphasis to a point being made in a conversation. One way speaker may do this is by echoing each other. And the last, lexical bundles in conversational discourse. Lexical bundles are formulatic multi-word sequences that occur frequently in spoken discourse, such as "it's going to be" or "if you want to." So that's all from me. Back to moderator.
Okay, now I would like to performance phenomena of conversational discourse. The long grammar discuss performance phenomena that are characteristic of conversational discourse. Speakers need to plan what they are going to say and speak at the same time. They are doing this meaning that their speech contains pauses, hesitations, and repetition while this happens. So here there is 6 performance phenomena of conversational discourse. For the first is silent and filled pauses in conversation. The second shortens, launches, and filled pauses. And the third, attention signals in conversation. For the fourth, response occurs in conversation. And the fifth, non-clausal item as response forms. And the last is extend principles of conversational discourse. For the silence and filled pauses in conversation, performance phenomena that are characteristic of conversational discourse include silence and filled pauses. In the middle of a turn of a grammatical unit, In the following examples, Mary uses pauses to hold on her turn as she has not completed a synthetic unit. She is less in danger of losing the turn if she were to pause at the end of the unit. And for examples from silent and filled pauses in conversion, here there is Mary. You are buying a 16-year-old child. Sit down and write down your guess. Here there is silence and filled pauses in conversion. And the second is utterance, launchers, and filled pauses. Filled pauses at tension points in conversational discourse typical use utterance launchers such as well and right as the speaker prepares what they will say. At the beginning of the conversation, Ryan used and as and utterance launchers. Here, for examples, Ryan and blah blah blah. Can I have a digit too? Is that okay? For the examples from utterance launchers and filled pauses is and for attention signals in conversion, speakers often use another person's name as an attention signals to make it clear whom they are speaking to, as in. Here there is two persons. Examples, there is Mary and John. Mary said John, and John said what? And for response allocators in conversion, here there are a number of typical ways of allocating a response in conversational discourse. A question tag, for example, can function as a response allocator. Here there is examples Mary and Ryan. Conversation Mary and Ryan. Mary said, "We will keep an elderly party for Saturday night." Alright? Scan a single item as in example below. Mary, we had your dumb party over at the park. We didn't have any get crashers. So Brian said, party over at the park. How old was a mom? 8. And Mary said 6. And for fifth, non-clausal items as response forms. Non-clausal items such as yeah, and okay often operate as response forms in conversation, as in there is conversation here, Mary and Ryan. Mary, the DJ, why do you have to have a DJ? What does she do? Does Polly records all night? Ryan said yeah. From these examples is yeah. And for the last, extended coordination of clauses. Conversational discourse often includes long extended turns. These turns may be extended by coordination, where one clausal unit is added to another, and another with items such as an but or by the direct just application of clauses as named. So there is examples from Brian says, we will leave the gate open, we will leave the pontoon tree, and you will see this. You think I'm so stupid, but if you look around and open your eyes, you will see. From this example is but. And for the next materials, is constructional principles of conversational discourse. The Longman Grammar discusses three keys principles which underlie the production of conversational discourse. The principle of keep talking refers to the need to keep a conversation going while planning for the conversation is going on. The principle of limited planning ahead refers to human memory limitations on planning ahead. So here, there is two sentence a different clause. For the first, it preface conversion and take in conversion. For preface conversion, main part of speaker message is often preceded by a preface which connects what they have to say to the previous utterance. And the second preface includes founding of closal units, non-phrase, discourse, markers, and other experience such as interjection. And for takes in conversions, speakers either take to a grammatical unit in conversational courses, and the second take can also be added to the end of statement to reinforce what has just been said. And for the next material is corpus studies of the social nature of discourse. Corpus studies have also considered what the use of the discourse means in wider social terms using the Mises corpus. Swallows 2003 conducted a corpus study is using Mises corpus to investigate the role of spoken language in academic settings in determining whether universities function as a cohesive community of practice or fragmented tripolis categorized of communities of practice. So here there is Helen's 2004 study of the generic structure of second language students' dissertation and acknowledgements is a further example of a corpus study which examines the discourse structure of part genre, as well as the social role of this part of the discourse. His analysis shows not only the typical ways in which these texts are organized, but also how students use their texts to display their disciplinary membership and network, at the same time as they express gratitude to the people that have helped them in their academic undertaking. Maybe that's enough from my presentation. And the next material will be presentation by Sylvie. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you for moderator who has been giving me a chance to describe about collocation and corpus studies. Corpus-based studies can be used to examine collocation in the different types of discourse, including written and spoken language. Helen and Dees in 2004 used corpus analysis to study dissertations, acknowledgement, and found the special things with the form common way to express gratitude. And I said in 2001 analyzes the language of personal aids to internet sites in the United States and Singapore, identifying cultural and gender difference in word of frequency and collocation. Asking about the corpus studies and academic writings, corpus-based studies have been valuable for academic writing teachers as they provide insight into how language used in specific academic genres. Highland studies personal pronouns and word cluster in academic writing illustrates how corpus analysis can be used to identify language pattern. And this approach to corpus-based discourse analysis provide a framework for studying different aspects of academic writing and help deepen our understanding of how language is used in specific academic contexts. Okay, we are talking about the criticism of corpus studies. Corpus studies has been the criticized for being the contextualizing. These are often computer-based and focus on the individual linguistic item. However, scholars have suggested that corpus studies can be increased by incorporating contextual information from the others. By doing so, corpus studies can be more effective in analyzing language use at the discourse level rather than just the item level. Thank you. I think that is enough from me. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And that's all presentation from the second group. Thanks for your attention. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.